Hi everyone, I'm Eric Lai from Yale Ophthalmology, one of the social media editors here at BMJ. Continuing our celebration of the 10th anniversary of BMJ Open Ophthalmology, we're diving into another piece of research that has had a massive global impact. Today, I'm thrilled to discuss one of our top 10 most cited papers, Dry Eyes: Why Artificial Tears Are Not Always the Answer, by Drs. Minji Kim and Anat Galor at Bascom Palmer. This review highlights that while artificial tears are first line for dry eye disease, effective management often requires identifying underlying causes and escalating therapy. I'm thrilled to be joined by Dr. Anat Galor, who will be discussing more about the highlights of her paper. Let's hear from her.
Hi, my name is Anat Galor, and I'm a professor of ophthalmology at the Bascom Palmer Eye Institute at the University of Miami and a staff physician at the Miami VA. And I am so happy to be here today to talk about my paper, Dry Eye: Why Artificial Tears Are Not Always the Answer. And I am so thankful that people found this paper important, and it was one of the 10 most cited papers at BMJ Open Ophthalmology.
What problem did your study address, and what are the key takeaways readers should remember?
The biggest problem my study addressed is the idea that dry eye is not one disease. It's an umbrella term. It refers to different symptoms and different signs, and the fact that different patients have different types of dry eye that need to be addressed differently. And so it's really about rethinking the way we use the word as a starting point of the conversation, but then it requires a little more work to figure out what type of dry eye patients have and what needs to be done. And the punchline is that more needs to be done other than artificial tears. Artificial tears are a good starting point. It's something patients can do on their own, but it's not the end point. And we need to reframe the thought process so we can figure out how do we get patients the right therapy for their dry eye.
How has your work changed clinical practice, research directions, or thinking in this area since publication?
I would hope that the way it changed the way people think about dry eye is in using the word carefully as a starting point of a conversation, but not as its own diagnosis. Dry eye is not a yes-no diagnosis. It is a concept that includes different symptoms, both pain discomfort symptoms, blurry fluctuating vision symptoms, occasionally tearing, although there's a question whether that should really be included as a symptom of dry eye, and also different signs: inflammation, tear production issues, tear stability issues, anatomical issues, systemic considerations. And the idea is it's important to have a way to think about dry eye so we can figure out which type of dry eye a patient has and how do we get the right therapy. I think there's a lot going on in the clinical realm of trying to subtype dry eye, and also in the research realm of trying to think about dry eye not as a yes-no, but as a certain subtypes of dry eye that we need to study.
What unanswered questions remain, and what should researchers or clinicians focus on next?
So I think that we're at a good starting point where we've recognized that dry eye is not a yes, no, but that after that, there's so many questions that are remaining. Number one, how do we best diagnose dry eye subtypes, including when nerve dysfunction underlies the dry eye? We have some tests that are available to us in the clinic. There's checking corneal sensation, doing the anesthetic challenge, imaging nerves with IVCM, but that's not enough. We need more diagnostic tests. And importantly, we need to figure out how do we couple our diagnostic findings to therapeutic responses. It seems like there are more and more products being evaluated for different aspects of dry eye, but not enough that try to help us figure out which patients need which products. And I'm hoping that that is something that is going to be standard in the field, where we have diagnostic biomarkers that help us figure out which therapeutics our patients need.
Why did you choose to publish your work in BMJ Open Ophthalmology? And how was your experience with the peer review process?
I think BMJ Open Ophthalmology is a terrific journal. It allows authors that look at various aspects of disease, whether it's basic science, translational, clinical, and it gives them a platform to showcase their work in a way that is very user-friendly, easy peer review process. And I am happy to be part of the journal, not only as a published author, also as an editor. And I hope we continue to get really high quality publications, because there are so many questions that need answered and research that needs to be done in order to get our patients the best care. And I am happy to be part of that in my little piece of the puzzle, which is the dry eye ocular pain world. So thank you for the opportunity to showcase my paper, and I hope we get to continue the conversation. Thank you.